We're Cassie
and Emily.
and this is Book Bits and Chill, a podcast where we talk about books, movies, and pop culture the way that you actually experience them.
This show is for type B readers, people who love stories but don't want the pressure, perfection, or the participation trophies.
Hit follow, grab a drink, and let's talk about it. Okay, we need to talk about Project Hail Mary because somehow, Hollywood took a 480-page hard sci-fi novel packed with orbital mechanics, alien linguistics, and a protagonist who has to remember who he even is mid-extinction event, and made a movie that people are calling one of the best sci-fi films in years.
We were terrified. We had opinions. We had grievances preloaded before we even sat down in our seats. And then the credits rolled, and well, that's what this episode is about.
Ooh, if you've read the book, you already know why we were extremely nervous going in. And if you haven't read it yet, but you're thinking about it, first of all, yes, please do that. And second, we'll try not to spoil absolutely everything, but fair warning, we are going deep today.
We can't hold it in. We had so much excitement coming out of this. So we're getting into what the movie changed and why, what totally landed, what we wish had made the cut, and why this adaptation might actually be a masterclass in how you do it right.
We've also got our book to screen scorecard at the end, rating it on adaptation faithfulness, casting, and whether it holds up as a standalone film. And we're playing a round of would you actually survive this mission? And then the answer for at least one of us is a very immediate, very confident no.
No.
Okay, let's get into it.
Okay, Dr. Grace.
For those of you who are listening and can't see me, I am in theme.
She is wearing her elemental t-shirt that Ryland Grace has on the Project Hail Mary, and she's even got the bendy glasses wrapped around her neck.
I don't think they're supposed to be bendy, but I'm making them bendy. We need to talk about the movie. It just came out, and there were certain things that changed versus the book. And to ground everyone here that had not listened to our episode last year where we covered Project Hail Mary, the book, Emily rated it 5 stars. I rated it 6 stars and said it was one of potentially my favorite books of all time. And so there was a lot writing on this. There was a lot of expectations going into this adaptation.
Yeah, and I always try to have like really low expectations because I don't believe in good adaptations. But this one, I for some reason was like, no, this is going to win an Oscar, and if it doesn't, I'm gonna be pissed.
No in between.
No in between.
So I feel like one of the biggest changes with the movie that I noticed immediately from the book was that the emotional impact that you get from the book, because it's from Ryland's inner monologue, like you're only in his point of view the entire time. And so the emotional impacts from when Strat recruits him and he's like, what the fuck is going on?
Right.
Or like where he's creating relationships with the astronauts that are about to go into space or that he ends up going into space with, like the flashbacks as he's getting all of his memories back, his journey with Rocky, like in their relationship development, like you're watching it all from a third person perspective. And I thought that Ryan Gosling did such a great job at being able to deliver on a lot of these things, but it definitely had a little bit less of a punch, I feel like, because of that.
I agree with you on the parts on the Earth, like being Earth side, because he was kind of like a quiet guy, and so he did a lot of internal thinking. But I liked that they showed his inner monologue on the spaceship doing like the selfie recording cam. I felt like we got a lot from that.
That's true. There, I was dying at those.
When he's like talking and he's like, oh, I need some space from Rocky, and Rocky's like, I can hear you.
He's like, he's a little bossy. It was so good. No, but I do agree. I think for me, it was more, I agree. The flashbacks were really good and I thought that they played into them really well. But I feel like we just got less of the like, oh my God, he's remembering these really crazy things that happened to him for the first time in a while, you know?
I do think that there was a lack of background with all of the things that happen Earthside. Like, I feel
Yeah.
like we missed out a little bit on, like, why the astrophage problem was such a big deal and, like, what
Mm,
was happening and the science behind it. Like, they
yeah.
kind of brushed over that a little bit to get
Yeah.
to the actual, like, spaceship journey, and I wish they would have, like, explained a little bit more.
I totally agree. And I do think that that was probably a choice intentionally, I have to imagine, because I think one of the big knocks with Project Hail Mary, the book, is that it is so reliant on the science and the theory and all of the things that it's less approachable for the general reader and
Right.
it feels like less action packed and whatever. Um, but I feel like then for the movie, it's like you have to make this approachable for general audiences. And so to do that, like, I feel like they had to kind of, damp down some of the science
To
aspect,
make it
but
more entertaining.
yeah, which I didn't mind that. I think the piece that I did I agree with is that they kind of took away the elements of, like, the impact to Earth, like, I think you got from the movie, like, "Okay, this is a big deal for Earth, like, if this goes unchecked," but in the book, it was so big, like, it was the
Yes.
issue was so on this grand scale where you're like, "No, every single country on every single
Every
continent
second
needs to
counts.
come together. Every second counts. We need to figure this project out. We're blowing up parts of the North Pole of the Antarctic. Like we're
Yeah,
literally like causing a huge environmental crisis to like figure this out because we know that it's going to be even worse in 30 years."
yeah.
And I feel like you kind of like got a little bit of that from the movie, but not quite as much.
And remember when we finished the book, like, we literally could not stop saying astrophage. Like, we were
Yeah.
literally like, astrophage, astrophage. And, like, after the movie, I feel like the people that were in the theater that hadn't read the book were like, kinda didn't even know what that word was. They were just like, "Oh,
Yeah.
the little
Yes.
amoebas."
Yes.
And
Yeah. Like I
astrophage is such a like, that could have been the word of 2025, I believe.
2025, 2026.
No, I mean
Which year
last
are
year
we
when we
in?
read the book. The one we
Oh,
read
it
when we read the book.
It was the year. It was the word of the year for us. I totally agree. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I agree. I think, and I do wonder again if it's like, okay, they're like, we need to make this appealing for these broader audiences who might not read the book. Are they going to retain the word astrophage? Maybe not. But you know what they are going to retain? Rocky. And that's what we need to focus in on. That's what's given us the big bucks. That is the
And they
face of this
did.
movie. And they did. And I do think like a lot of the science that they sacrificed, they kind of like reallocated a lot of that energy into Rylan and Rocky's relationship.
For sure. And I was really, really nervous about what they were gonna do with Rocky. And I think they like blew my expectations out of the water. Like they did
Yes.
him such good justice.
Yes, I totally agree, which maybe gets us into why this was such a good adaptation. So I feel like we haven't said this overtly yet, but I loved this movie.
Me too. I feel like it was confusing that we started with the things we didn't like about the movie
I
because
know.
we actually loved this
We're
movie.
like, here's what changed. No, we loved this fucking movie. It was so good. I was genuinely so terrified that once I after like this the end credits are rolling and I felt like I was experiencing this like release of nervous energy where I immediately just started crying because I was like, it was so good. I'm not going to experience it for the first time again and they didn't fuck it up and I'm so happy.
Yeah, I was literally sitting on the edge of my seat, bouncing up and down, clapping. And this is on video because I was so excited. And then I waited until the very end of the credits to see if there was anything special after because I was so
Yeah,
desperate
so
for
did we.
more.
So did we. And literally everyone in the theater did too. Like no one
Yeah,
shut up until the credits were fully done, which I haven't
yeah.
been to a movie like that in a really long time.
Also, everybody in my theater probably laughed 45 times. Like,
Oh yeah,
people
easily.
were laughing out loud together. Like, it was such a good experience.
Yeah, it did feel very communal, even
It
though
was.
Emily's afraid of people in a movie theater.
I was like, these are the people for me.
She's all of a sudden okay with this. But I do like I think they just did such a great job of pulling from the book, from the source material in a way that like still captured the heart, still captured the essence of what make the book so good. And they pulled in like specific dialogue that really hit.
Yeah,
But then like I don't know. I think for me, I was really nervous because the scale of this book is just so massive. And there are just so many things going on that you need to communicate over the course of this book. So it's like, how do you translate this to audiences who maybe have never been exposed to the book or maybe never would? And then
right.
how do you do it justice to the fans that are like me who would like come at them with pitchforks if it was terrible? So it was just so impressive.
And we did not need like a Wicked part 1, part 2. We saw how that
No,
turned out, and
no.
that's not what the people needed. So they had to fit this all into one movie. And it is a long
Yeah,
movie. It was
yeah,
like over 2.5 hours.
yeah, it was.
Like you got to be ready to lock in, but it was worth
Yeah,
it.
it was so worth it. I mean, if I can sit and watch a Christopher Nolan movie for 3 hours, like I can watch
Avatar.
this. Avatar?
Is that is that Christopher Nolan?
No, it's
Oh, that's
James
James
Cameron.
Cameron. But like
With
literally
all the
we've
through.
sat down and watched 4 Avatar movies that are all 4 hours long.
That's another topic, but I need those movies to end. Anyways, so here's what I think they did well. First of all, Ryan Gosling crushed it. And I need this to go on record that Emily is eating her words right now. And I need a
I
public apology from her because
I literally do apologize so much. I was sure. I mean, I just saw him come out of playing Ken in Barbie, and he's always been just like that hunky guy in every movie. And I was like, my Ryland Grace, my Dr. Ryland Grace is not Ryan Gosling. And I was just like, sure he was going to ruin it.
you know what she said? She said Rylan Grace is being played by none other than Ryan Gosling, which makes zero sense to me because, like we said, he's just a self-deprecating science nerd. Like, I'm sorry, Ryan Gosling is a hunk of a man iPhone face being. How is he playing that character?
iPhone face is so accurate. Why am I so
That's
good with
literally
lines?
word for word what she said.
Literally, I stand by everything past Emily said, but then I saw this and now I am eating my words because I really, really believed that was going to be the case. And he did such a good job. And I don't know what headspace he put himself into, or like if he's just been waiting his whole career to pull this out of him, but he delivered.
Maybe. He delivered. He was the perfect mix of self-deprecating, of humorous, but then he was also very curious. Like I totally believed when he was like trying to figure out these science problems, but then he also kind of maintained this quiet determination that Ryland had in the entire book to
Hmm.
figure this out, do this mission, complete the thing, save Rocky, all of the things. And he did such a great job.
He did such a good job crying, and I don't know how to explain this, but like
Yeah,
he so like
he did.
Ryland was never like fully sobbing. Like Ryland was always having these like
Right,
quiet moments because he's in space alone where he's
right,
realizing that like what's happening to him, and there would just be like some tears streaming down his face silently. How did
right.
Ryan do that like 3 or 4 times in this movie?
It was incredible. And like
How do you
truly
control your tears like that?
I actually don't know, and I think I thought that in the movie because I was like, he is crying so perfectly on cue, but then like the perfect amount of crying, like,
Yeah.
and honestly, he made me cry at a certain point, and
Yeah.
I was like, I know exactly what's going to happen, and I know exactly what's going on, but I'm still crying.
I know. I just really, really hope that he at least gets nominations for
He has
this movie.
to. He absolutely I mean, the acting out being in space alone is a feat in and of itself, but then acting next to this rock that's supposed to be an alien, like this
I know.
animated rock that is not living and like doesn't speak and whatever, like that is incredible. And the ability to translate that to audiences and like translate the friendship to audiences is so impressive.
You know that what's crazy is that Rocky didn't look like that CGI.
He wasn't.
What?
He literally wasn't.
What was he?
He's like an actual, like, physical thing that they built,
Like
like,
a
basically a
puppet?
robot.
Oh
No,
my
like,
god.
essentially a robot. He literally is on the press tour with Ryan Gosling right now.
I had no idea. I thought it was
Yes.
CGI.
No, no.
Oh my
Isn't
god,
that
I for
crazy?
sure thought it was like a box with like a little green screen on it.
No. Okay, which brings me to my next point. They used no green screen for anything on this movie.
What
Not
about the
one thing.
space?
No, space was completely set design.
It was like they were in a dark room?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Movie
What about
magic, maybe.
what about the planet that they're, like, getting the Talmipas off of that doesn't exist in real life?
That is a literal part of the set.
That's
Is that not
insane.
crazy?
I'm gonna need a full behind the scenes how this movie was made released on Prime.
I mean, have you seen the behind the scenes, like, for Harry Potter, for example, where they, like,
Yeah,
have this, like, super tiny rooms that are, like, literally the size of a jewelry box or whatever, but then they're,
yeah,
like, built to, like, basically look like the entire set, and they, like, just film in that?
yeah, I
Like,
need to see
it
this.
I feel like it's, like, literally gonna be that vibe, and it just blew my mind. Like, as I was watching the entire time, I was like, "These people are just so talented." This is
Which brings
insane.
me to the fact that I was absolutely shocked by the cinematography of this movie, obviously. I believed that it was a green screen.
I mean, I still to right now, every single day have thought about that scene where he's, like, catching all of the,
Talmiba?
astrophage or Tamiba, can't remember which one, but and Rocky's like, "Rylan, like, what are you doing?" And he's, like, taking it in, and it's, like, the pink like, it was
Yeah.
the most beautiful thing. I literally teared up in that moment because I was, like, in awe, and I was like, "Can you imagine if you were out there looking at this? Like, you would just never see something like this ever again in your life." Like, that's just insane.
But I feel like he wasn't even surprised because he just met an alien.
He seemed pretty in awe. Which I do remember, feeling multiple times throughout the movie, like, I was just grinning like a, like, little schoolgirl because I feel like
Yeah.
they captured this sense of, like, wonder and of magic and, like, this crazy belief that, like, these tall tales about aliens and about space and all of these things, like, can be true,
Mhm.
and I feel like they translated that so well in the movie where I was just like, "This is just, like it's so cool to feel this way again." It, like, makes you feel like a little kid again where you're just, like, dreaming about being an astronaut in space.
Because do you feel like in other, like, space movies, it feels like a green screen space movie where this stuff
Right.
is, like, fantastical and made up, and in this movie, like, you can convince me right now, right this second, that Rocky is on a star somewhere in the sky, and I would believe you.
100%. I still think that right now.
Yeah.
Which speaking of Rocky, I know we kinda touched on it, but they crushed it with him. Like,
Mhm.
literally, for whatever reason, I was just like, they're gonna do something so weird with him where it's gonna be so clear that he is, like, CGI or, like, a
Yeah.
cartoon or whatever, and I felt like the way that they brought him to life was so perfect. Like, I didn't even imagine that in my head when I was reading the book.
Me either. Well, I always thought he was gonna be, like, spider shaped, which he kind
Yeah.
of did move around like a spider, which I'm glad they kept that, but
Yeah.
I didn't know how you would bring all of those parts to life, like, how he would see, like, motion and movement and how he
Right.
ate and how he breathed, like, I didn't
Yeah.
know how they were gonna do that, and somehow they did it perfectly.
Oh my god, it was amazing. Like, every time they would kind of flash to, like, his view of Grace and of the ship, I was like, "Whoa,
Yeah.
that is so cool." I never would have been able to come up with that in my imagination.
I
So,
also really was worried about his voice. I
yeah.
was really thinking like they were gonna mess that up and it was gonna sound like some sort of like Wally type
Yeah.
thing. And
Yeah.
I loved how they did it.
Yeah, I totally agree. The sound production in that entire movie was maybe the craziest part, like, maybe crazier than the no green screen. Like, their ability to get Rocky's language so right and translate that so well, but then also get his voice kind of perfect. And then they would have like music during times where they would want you to really feel like the action and the suspense, but then like they're in space and it's dead silent, like it's quiet. It
Mhm.
was just one of those things where it was like I genuinely I feel like the sound was a huge part of why I was like actually on the edge of my seat for a lot of it.
The moments where it was dead silent, I actually thought to myself, do they even do that in other movies?
I don't know.
I have never been in the theater in
Yeah.
moments of dead silence where I'm telling you I could hear the people 3 rows in front of me breathing.
Yeah. Literally, you could hear popcorn falling on the ground.
It was I think what we're saying about all of this stuff though, like the sound, the production, the voice, everything, it was such an immersive experience. Like you were
Mhm.
fully immersed in every moment of it. Like it really took me out of the movie theater.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I literally have woken up in the middle of the night since I've seen this and thought to myself, I need to go see this movie again
Yeah,
ASAP. Like, I literally need to
100%.
see it like while I am in theaters.
Yes.
But I do have one negative thing to say that I can't
Ugh,
stop thinking about.
what? I'm
Okay,
scared.
so as a book adaptation, they did
Yep.
not really they didn't skip anything. They didn't cut anything out. What they
Yeah.
did was they minimized moments.
Yeah. They, like,
And there was
truncated things.
yes, and there was one moment they minimized that I can't stop thinking about.
Which one?
When Rylan and Rocky are leaving the planet and their ship is tearing apart and they both get knocked out and Rocky ends up leaving his
Mm.
ball to
Yep.
save Rylan, and
Yep.
in the process of saving him he obviously starts to perish because he's in oxygen and not his
Right.
natural air.
Right.
So then Rylan wakes up and
Yeah.
has to in turn save Rocky. And do you remember that in the book he has to pump air into the
Yes.
bottom of Rocky and then black smoke comes out of Rocky
Yes.
and he realizes that he had stuff stuck in his lungs and that's why he wasn't fully healing?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
And they left that part out.
I know. I think it kind of made sense that they left it out because it almost felt like okay, Rocky squarely saved him in this scene, and so it added to the emotional kind of payoff of when Ryland went to go save Rocky with the ship.
Yeah, I guess, but in the book, I thought to myself when they kept saving each other over and over again, they could
Yeah.
not stop saving each other. It made me feel like, oh my God, these two are so selfless. They love each other so much that they
Yeah.
literally are repeatedly giving up their own lives for each other.
That's true. That
And
is
so then
totally
it
fair.
it only happened once in the movie, and you were like, okay, that's really sweet, but it didn't
Yeah.
have as much oomph to it.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I feel like it did in the book add to, is Rocky going to survive? Is he gonna make it through
Yeah.
this thing, or did he just die for Ryland? So, that's totally fair. I think something that I liked that they added in was at the end, you got to see Strat getting the Talmiba farms and,
Oh,
getting the
yeah.
video from Ryland,
And she
which I
looks
really
so
liked.
old.
She looks so old, and
I
30 years has gone
literally
by.
I
They're literally
literally
on the polar ice caps on a ship.
I literally screamed. I was like, "Time space continuum." Strat looks like she's 70 years old and Ryland hasn't aged a day.
Neither is Rocky. No, 100%. But I did like that they added that in because that was something that I remember you didn't like about the ending because you were like, I wish that I had an epilogue or 2 more
Yeah.
chapters to know what happened on Earth. So I feel
Yeah.
like that was a nice payoff for probably these audiences who would want the same.
Right, because they didn't even tell you in the book if Rocky, not Rocky, Ringo, Paul, and
Yeah,
the Beatles made it
the
back to
Beatles.
Earth.
Well, we find out that they made it back to Earth because there's some signal that's sent.
Oh,
But
there is?
yeah, but we don't know anything else other than that.
I was
So,
in tears
mm.
sobbing. I didn't even, I'm
Yeah,
not even sure I got half the words on the last chapter of the page because everything was such a blur.
that's true. I mean, something that also I think was kind of missing was Ryland's dedication to his students and just to
Mm,
teaching. Like, I feel like they tried to do that and tried to play that up, but there's obviously just so much other things to get in there. But I felt like that was the thing that got me so much at the end of this book where I like could not stop crying. Like when he just like got to continue to do the thing that he loved and like was a big reason why he went on this mission in the first place.
that's so true.
And I felt like that was kind of dampened in the movie, which I was a little bummed about.
Yeah, actually, when I was walking out, I saw it with my boyfriend and he was like, "Why didn't he want to go home?" And I was like, "Because he was teaching."
Teaching again. He's
And he
teaching
was
the
like,
youth of Erin.
"Yeah," he was like, "Oh yeah, I guess." And I was like, "Yeah, you
Yeah,
don't get it." So I
he
do agree with
loves
you. Like
teaching.
the whole end, they didn't like beef it up as much because remember they had
Yeah,
like done all this science to like find food he could eat on the
yeah,
planet, and they were just
yeah,
like so happy he was there, and he was so happy he was there,
yeah,
and
yeah,
they did again minimize that moment.
yeah, which I get. Like, I think they allocated the time in the right way, where they allocated it really to the mission, to the flashbacks, things like that. So I get it. But yeah, I feel like that was another reason why I was like, oh, I'm definitely not crying as much as I was crying in the book,
Yeah.
which was
Did they
uncontrollably.
Was this an add-on in the movie, this little room where with the screens where he could see the beach and the sky and the was
Oh,
that
I
in the book?
loved that. I can't remember if it was, but I loved that in the movie.
I don't
I
think
thought
it
that was
was in the book.
brilliant.
Yeah, I loved it too. What did they do at the end when they were celebrating and they, like, went in that room and he was wearing a
The
little, like
fireworks.
the fireworks, that's what it
Yeah, I
was.
loved that. I loved that. I thought that was so cool. But that actually brings me to sci-fi movies in general. Like, I feel
Mhm.
like, and space movies, maybe more specifically, but I feel like they're really hard to nail. And I feel like this one was so different because, and I feel like that's what people get from this book too, is that it feels like hopeful science fiction
Yeah,
versus the like doomsday, the world is ending
right.
and there's only two of us left at the end of it. Like, I feel like this one just gives you actual hope of like, okay, if we all ended up in a monumental earth ending issue, we could figure it out.
Right, and it's also a lot more approachable of the earth ending. I
Yeah,
think to your point, like the approach to it is like we are solving this problem, and Strat's whole attitude is like, I will not let this fail. So you never
right.
feel like this dread, which helps you enjoy like the humor and the friendship parts of it because you're not just
Totally.
like waiting for the other shoe to drop.
I also feel like sometimes sci-fi, like, takes it too far where it's not believable, and I'm like, "Is this fantasy? Like, this this
Yeah,
isn't sci-fi
I
now," or, like, it's
agree.
too dense where it's like, "Oh my god, I'm falling asleep," and so I feel like with sci-fi and the genre, you really have to kind of trust the viewer's, like, belief and, like, respect for a lot of these things too to, like, be able to deliver on it, and again, I feel like they did a really good job of that. We need to play the Would You Survive game because when when we played this before, you had a very specific POV on what would happen to you.
Yeah, do you have a quote for me on that too?
I do.
Okay, let's hear it.
She said, "I wouldn't have even made it on the ship. One, because my weak immune system would never be coma resistant. Two, I would be too scared to sacrifice myself, so I guess I'm a coward, period."
Oh my god, that brings up a good point. They didn't even talk about the coma resistance in the movie.
Oh, yeah. That is
So
a great point. I totally forgot about that.
because in the book, it's like there's only so few people that can go on that
Yep.
ship, and that's why Ryland has to go because he has this
He has the
special
gene.
DNA that's
Yeah.
coma resistant. And
Yeah.
I still believe this to this day. I would never make it on that ship because I would not be coma resistant. But when I left,
But what if you
my
were?
okay, so my boyfriend and Cassie are like the same person, and that's probably why they're both the loves of my life. But they probably both left this movie with the same answer. So he was like, I wouldn't want to, but I would. Like, they're so
Mhm.
brave. They're so brave, these two.
I
He's
love
like,
your answering for me right now.
yeah. He's like, I wouldn't want to. Obviously, I love my life and like I don't want to give it up, but I would for the people. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I honestly would be like, there is somebody else. There's somebody else. I don't know if it's going to take another couple years to train them and like maybe we're going to have to eat plastics, but like there's somebody else that can go on this ship. Trust me.
You are telling me you would delay the entire Project Hail Mary mission, force the entire Earth 2 additional years of famine, of plague, of eating
Yeah.
plastics because you could not get on the ship.
I would be like Rylan Grace. They'd have to stab me with anesthesia to drag me on there. And you know what I thought multiple times during that movie? While I'm on that ship, I might just open that door and float right out. Because that got tough for a while. I don't know.
Honestly, I think the thing that I would not, if it came down to it, they were like, you are the only person that can do this right now and we have to do it. I would be like, all right, I'm going.
Yes.
But I think the thing that would get me would be being alone in space. Like,
Yeah.
I think that would really get to me mentally, for
But
sure.
you still would not give up. You and my boyfriend, they would literally be like,
No.
in their toughest time, they would be like, this is the end. This is my last minute. And then somehow they would rise. They would rise and they'd be stronger than ever and they'd solve the problem. I would open that back door. I would open that back door and blast myself out.
I hope no therapists or psychologists are listening to this.
And that's why I shouldn't get on this ship.
Unreliable.
I can't.
Unreliable hero.
You would take it to the last. You would be like, I have to send this back. I need to save the Earth.
Of
and
course.
If I'm floating in space,
you're gonna let Earth die, and just so you can go take a break in space. Like, what are you...
I won't remember what happened to Earth because I will also be gone.
I won't remember. Oh my God. Well, Emma answered for me. And yeah, I guess I would go for sure. And
You
yeah,
would.
I think the guilt over not saving Earth would get me through, but I would definitely not be as like mentally intact as Ryland was when he was on Arid.
Yeah.
I would be a little kooky, I think.
But he was really kooky on Earth and he was really lonely on Earth. Like he didn't have
That's
a lot
true.
to live for.
That's true. Yeah. When Strat's like, you don't even have a dog. It's like, oh, get him. Right where it hurts. Oh my God. All right. Let's talk through our scorecard. I think I know where this is going, but let's say it out loud. Okay. First, our adaptation score. So this is the faithfulness to the book, and it's on a scale of 1 to 5.
Okay. Ready?
3, 2, 1. 5.
5! I panicked at the end.
Yeah, what? I counted us down.
I think it was confusing me that you were using numbers and I had to say a number.
Not Ryland Grace.
Exactly. No, 5. And I can really say 5 because I have been so pissed at certain book adaptations recently.
True.
Like, I was mad at Wuthering Heights. I was mad at People We Meet on Vacation. Like, people have really been putting me through the ringer as a reader. And so I was so happy about this one.
These adaptations have been making Emily want to go out the back door of the shuttle.
Just open that latch.
Put herself out to pasture.
Do you agree?
1000% agree. I literally, again, I felt like I had a true emotional release when that movie was over in the best possible way, because it felt like, honestly, I have not had so much pressure on an adaptation since we were in high school and like the final Harry Potter books were coming out, like genuinely. And because I love this book so much. And so for me, I think I just am so blown away that they were able to adapt it so faithfully and like do such a great job that like there's no other score imaginable for it.
I have been telling everybody I know that I also forced to read the book to go see the movie immediately, because they're like, there's no way they're not going to enjoy it. If you read this book, nobody is giving negative reviews. I promise.
No one.
Okay, casting for this book, casting and friendship chemistry. Like we
Mhm.
have to rate like Rylan and Rocky's friendship chemistry.
Okay, 1 out of 5.
Are you counting us down again so I can be prepared?
Yeah,
Okay.
sure. 3, 2, 1, 5.
5. Now it feels like a competition.
I mean, you're slow. I don't know what's going on.
No, but Rocky and Grace's friendship, like Rocky was one of my favorite side characters of last year. Like
Yes,
I think about him and I literally tear up and the chemistry they
yes.
had was so good.
Oh my god, it was beautiful, and, like, every time they would hug through Rocky's bubble, or
Oh,
when they would give each other the thumbs down, or when they did, like, the dances with each other, like,
yeah.
there was just so many moments where I was like, "Oh my god, I
It
love
was
them
so
so
good.
much." They
And
did such a great job, and what do you think about Ryan Gosling?
Ryan Gosling gets a 5 too. Like, wow. You know, I've never seen La La Land. Was he good in that?
Yes, Emily.
That is the only thing I can think of where, like, maybe he did such good acting and I need to watch it.
Yeah, you do. That movie got, like, every Oscar imaginable.
So I've only seen him in, like, in good movies, but like Barbie,
Yes.
that movie with Steve Carell, like where he's like,
Oh, I
you
love
know what I'm
that
talking
movie.
about?
Yeah, with
Eat,
Emma
Pray,
Stone.
Love the brother, whatever it was called.
Mhm. Love the brother.
Whatever it was called. But
I
maybe
can't.
if I watched La La Land, I would have given him more up front.
You probably would. Maybe. I don't know. You were really stuck on the iPhone face there.
Yeah,
Okay,
he is
next
pretty.
is, we're rating it as a standalone film, so without the book, would it still be as
Ooh.
good as it is? Okay,
Oh.
ready?
Uh-huh.
Uh, okay.
I'm so
3,
scared.
2, 1, 5.
4.
No! Really?
The I don't know. It's so hard to like erase the book from my head to
But you
like think
went
of it.
with someone who's never read the book.
Yeah, and I think that he really liked the movie, but I don't think he's like rushing to see it again.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that it didn't work as a standalone.
No, it does work as a standalone movie, but I would say that for somebody that didn't read the book, he was more impressed with like Interstellar.
Oh, yeah. Well, that Interstellar is also just such a boy movie.
Yeah, but
It's
that's why
hard.
it's hard to remove. Like, we need to ask a female that hasn't
You're
read the
right.
book on their opinion on the movie. Like, I think my sister and my mom would eat this up.
They would. They would
Yeah,
love it. My mom
yeah,
would eat this up too,
yeah.
for sure.
I think it's like the comedy and it's so cute and the friendship is like so
Yeah.
hopeful. All the things we've said. But like,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that if you're like a space sci-fi fan, I think it could be a 4 because they don't talk about the science that much.
I also think it was action-packed and it was suspenseful, but if you are someone who's comparing every space movie to Interstellar, like, it's gonna be hard. I agree,
Yeah,
because that movie is just straight suspense for 3 hours
yeah,
versus this one, like, infused a lot of the relationship dynamics and the heart and the comedy, so, yeah, I think that's totally fair, but I think if
okay.
you aren't that type of person, then this would be a fantastic standalone for you.
Yeah, which gets to the point of I think you should read the book before going to see the movie.
So that's the final verdict
Yeah.
that we're going
Oh,
to.
uh, spoiler.
Alright, so M's final verdict is that you should read the book first. I actually don't think that you need to read it first or after. I think you should 100% experience both, though.
Yeah,
Like, full stop. If you listen to the audiobook, do it. If you listen and read, do it. If you just read, like, everyone, I still truly believe, can and should read this book and get so many good things out of it. But then again, it's like if you wanna go see the movie while it's in theaters and it might take you a while to read the book, I don't feel like you have to read the book first.
no, I think if you're trying to see it in theaters, which you should, don't worry about reading the book. But if you have the opportunity to read the book, I think you should good because I think that, like to my point earlier, they minimize the depth of some of the moments in the movie that make it slightly confusing if you haven't read
Yeah.
the book. And so I think if you can read the book first, it's good.
Yeah. I mean, truly, this book is amazing. It means so much to me, and I have forced so many people to read it
Yeah.
already. And honestly, I feel like this movie is going to be a great, great rage drug where like people tell me they like it, and I'm going to be like, read the book, read
Yeah.
it right now.
I do think that this book is and movie have gotten non-sci-fi readers into sci-fi, and that
Yeah,
is like such a big feat in itself. So Andy Weir should be really proud of himself.
we love you, Andy. Great guy.
Andy! It's kind of a bummer, like, he
Andy.
can't win, like, an award for this movie.
I know. I feel like though, if they won for like adapted screenplay or whatever, like ideally he would
Is
be able
that
to
a
be involved.
category?
Yeah,
Okay. Hopefully
there's
he gets
original
to be involved.
screenplay and adapted.
Okay, hopefully he gets to be involved in that.
Fingers crossed, because he is fantastic.
I'm gonna be
Well,
locked in for award season next year.
yeah, wow, me too. Rocky better be on a red carpet or else.
Yes.
Or else I will riot. Okay, well, I think that wraps us up. We loved the movie. We clearly loved the book. You should go see it. You should read it. You should experience this entire world that Andy's created. I think next week we have a special guest joining us, which is
Ooh.
really exciting because we haven't had a guest in a while. So we're back, baby.
We needed somebody to break the two of us up.
We need a median here. And you won't want to miss it. Her name is Sheila Masterson, and she's the author of Poison Daughter. Literally,
Oh.
this book has been all over Book Talk. It's been blowing up like crazy. I see it nonstop. And Em and I read it and loved it. So we're so excited to get to
Yes.
talk to her about it.
And it's a spicy one, and I've got some questions for you, Sheila girl.
Get ready. All right. Well, in the meantime, we'll see you same time, same place. Grab your blankets, grab your book boyfriends, and we'll see you then.
See ya.